A metaphorical story of a kid. He says, "Dad, how big is God?" The father says to the son, he says, "I want you to look up at that plane." And he looks up at the plane and he says, "How big is that plane?" And he goes, "Dad, that plane is so small, I can barely see it." And he goes, "Okay." And so the next day he takes him to the airport and he brings him right up close to an airplane. And he says, "I want to ask you again, how big is this plane?" And he goes, "Wow, Dad, this is the biggest plane I've ever seen. And it's so loud." What the father says to the son is, this is the same way God is. So many people shake their fists in the air and get mad because they can't hear and they can barely see God, but they don't realize they're 400,000 miles away from him and they're mad that they can't hear or see him. God never gets bigger. He never gets louder. He's God. He is him. That's why it says, "Be still and let me be God." He never gets bigger. He never gets smaller. He's the same God. The only thing that changes is we draw near him. We get quieter. We sit ourselves down and say, "Father, I want to hear you." That's the difference is I began to say, "I want to seek you," and I began to get closer with him. The closer I got to the plane, the louder the plane got, the more I could see how big it is.